I'm delighted to welcome back to VRP Rocks, a man we've had on the show before, and a man who's got an exciting new record to promote as well, and the first new record for a long time. So please welcome to VRP Rocks, Mr. Mark Farner.
Thank you, Brother Paul.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you back on the show. You were fantastic the first time. You told so many stories about Jimi Hendrix and Led Zeppelin, and obviously the Grand Funk Railroad days as well. So it was a fantastic listen. But you got you back this time because you've got an exciting new album out, Closer to My Home, which is
I hope.
coming Friday, November 8th. Yes, you have to add the My in. So tell us why we're adding the My in this time. Tell us about the title to begin with.
Well, the title, Closer to My Home, is to reference more of what life has taught me up to this point, and chiefly the difference between my re-recording of I'm Your Captain, Closer to Home, the song, which is on my new album. The main difference is that it was in A440, the tuning standard of the United States, which was established in 1953. Prior to the A440, though, Paul, it was 432. I went back to 432 because 432 is compatible with things that are natural, such as water.
Okay.
And I saw an example. A friend of mine sent me a link, and it was this guy had a little kiddie pool, like a 6-foot diameter pool on his deck, and he put a speaker, a 15-inch driver next to the pool, and in the standard of A440, he played A2 at 125 decibels. Now, the threshold of pain is 90 decibels. So you can imagine 125 is out there. I mean, it's loud. And what happened to the water in that pool? It was just agitated. It turned foam. It was just waves, and just like a storm was in that little kiddie pool. So then he shuts it off. Things calm back down. He tunes it to A432, the tone generator. Plays A2 at 125 decibels, and Paul, that water was flat as a piece of glass. After experiencing and seeing what happened to the water at 440, at 432, just that little bit of difference, it was calm. It was peaceful. It was itself. And since we are made up of the majority of our body is water, I think people will enjoy my re-recording. Not only that, because it's 432 now, but we did a tempo map. Josh Egan, a friend of the producer of my album, is Mark Slaughter.
Yeah.
And Mark Slaughter's friend, who he introduced me to, Joshua Egan, did a tempo map of the original I'm Your Captain from 1971. And it was all over the place, because back then we didn't play to a click track. We played to a drummer. And if the drummer got excited about what he was doing, he might have rushed it a little bit. Or if he sat down and might drag it a little bit. In this particular cut, and because it's 10 minutes long, Brewer was all over the place as far as timing. But we wanted to capture that because that was the feel, and that helped the song be what it was that people loved. It's human, buddy. It is human to slow down, to speed up, to not be perfect.
Of course. Yeah.
So this digital BS that we've been contending with, sometimes it's not so good. And I think, that speaking of digital, that videos, when they started coming out with videos that portrayed whatever the song was, that ruined the song. Because prior to someone visualizing and doing a whatever their storyline was for the video, people would sit back, close their eyes, and they had the video running in here, and our imaginations were exercising the way they are meant to do. They are meant to be exercised. It's lazy to watch something. Yeah, man, that's it. That must be the meaning of. A friend of mine from WNEW New York City said that they polled 100 different people. They asked them to write down their definition of the song by Simon and Garfunkel, "Bridge Over Troubled Water." He said, "Farner, we got 100 diversely different." He says, "Not any two were even close in their definitions." I said, "That is beautiful. That is wonderful." And because I'm Your Captain, closer to home, there was no video to it. It was during the Vietnam era, and a lot of the Vietnam veterans hung on to that song. That was their song to get them home. That was their hope, was wrapped up in coming home. So that was an incentive for them to hold on to the hope. And I have heard from hundreds, thousands that I have spoke with and that I go and do the charities for, of their gratefulness for that song. So
It's interesting you say that. I don't like to interrupt, but I did have a message from James Rowitz. I think that's how you pronounce his surname. Apology if it's incorrect. He said, "Can you say this to Mark? To this day, I can't listen to 'I'm Your Captain' without tearing up. The song meant so much to me. When Saigon fell, we had this playing on our comm system when I was stationed at Barbers Point, Hawaii. The song fit the time, and you wouldn't be human not to have it affected you. God bless you, Mark."
wow. Wow. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Paul.
That's okay. In terms of the song, then, obviously you went back to re-record it. When you were re-recording it, did it stir up any emotions or memories in you from when you first recorded it all those years ago?
Yeah, I played bass on this particular cut. And I remember when we first started recording and when we first started learning the song, Melvin, the bass player, Mel Shocker, asked me, "So what do you hear on this song, Mark?" And I mean, that's not unusual, because Mel asked me a lot of times, he just couldn't hear a part. "What are you hearing?" And I said, "Well, I'm hearing as a, oh, cool." And that bom 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 bom, you know, as I'm playing this, I'm thinking of Melvin. I can't play like Mel. Mel is a excellent, great bass player. That's what he really shines. And I didn't try to be Mel Shocker. I just tried to play the parts as they were on the record. But that stirred that up in me, Paul, and it's nice that you mentioned that.
Indeed. And then talking about the song itself, it's a 10-minute epic. It's got the big orchestration on the end, which is such an incredible part of the song. I mean, whose idea was that originally, and where did that come from?
Well, it was Terry Knight's idea. He was our manager and producer. And Tommy Baker, who did the arrangement for all of the orchestration on the end, he was the band leader on the Upbeat show, which was a regional rock and roll show that had a lot of live bands come on and play. The day that we were there, James Brown was on the show.
Wow.
Mitch Ryder was on the show. Otis Redding was on the show. It was just a regular day for Upbeat show. But I was playing the song "I'm Your Captain" for David Spiro, who is the son of the owner, Herman Spiro, God rest his soul. But he was asking me, "So what is that song you're doing?" And as I'm playing it for him, Tommy Baker walked over and said, "Is this the song that you want?" And I said, yeah. And he says, well, when you get to that refrain on the way out, he says, on the outro, just keep going and going and going and going. And he says, and when you can't go anymore, give me 10 more bars. And so I told the guys, remember, Tommy wants us to keep this going. So we go in and we lay the bed tracks. And we went on and on and on and on. And it gave Tommy Baker room to stretch out, to take it where it went and to take us where we were going.
Incredible stuff. And it really does add so much to the song, doesn't it? Just that huge amount of orchestration on the end and the way it builds up. And the last time we spoke, you did say that was your favorite Grand Funk song. And
Yes.
does that play a big part in why it's so special to you?
Yes, absolutely. Because it evokes the feelings, the emotions that it evokes, uh, because they're not synthesized sounds.
Yeah.
They are orchestral, real woodwind, real horns, French horns, oboe, flute, cellos. I mean, yeah, that does it for me. That does
Enough
it.
said. Absolutely. So back to the new record then. I read somewhere that you said that it took maybe about 2 years for it to be finished off then. So why did it take so long?
Well, it took so long because Mark Slaughter is a touring musician and I'm a touring musician. And he'd go out for a couple of weeks and come back and say, oh, now I got to go out for a couple of weeks. And it was like, okay, we'll do this when we're, both home at the same time. And we do our best work, of course, when we are face to face
Yeah.
together in a studio. In his studio in Tennessee, we did some wonderful things together. Uh, the dogs, the cats were in there. It's very friendly. Scrappy the cat just laid up there and napped the whole time while we're rocking. And Happy, Pyrenees, the Great Pyrenees dog. I mean, there's about 160-pound dog there. When I would start singing, he'd go, oh, he started going, and Slaughter go, no, no, Happy, you can't do that, man. It's going
Fancies
on the
himself as a backing singer, obviously.
So it was fun doing it, together. But we did have the things that we did, the my some of my slide parts, the slide guitar, I would do them here in Michigan, do a Dropbox, send the file to the Dropbox, and then he would download it into his DAW and move, massage it and move it into the mix where it needed to appear. And that worked pretty good too. But like I said, we do our best work together, and I just love Mark Slaughter. I love who he is. His Jesus is the same Jesus as mine is, and we are both a couple of cussing ass Christians.
So how did you two get together? When did you first meet Mark and when did you convince him to work on this project with you?
Well, we met at the Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp.
I've just spoke with Brit Lightning actually, so that's interesting.
All right. Yeah, well, David Fishoff was responsible for the Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. I did his very first camp in Miami years and years and years ago. But he said, I want to try doing this thing called Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. I said, oh, yeah, man, count me in. So anyways, I'm there in New York City. Slaughter is in with the musicians that were called up for this camp. And Howard Stern called David Fishoff and he said, I want Mark Farner to come over here and play I'm Your Captain on my show. And so Fishoff came to me and he says, hey, Howard Stern wants you to come over and play. You want to do it? And I said, hell yeah, man. Are you kidding me? Let's do it.
Silly question.
So we had Kip Winger on bass guitar, uh, Sandy Gennaro on drums from Joan Jett's band, Teddy Zigzag from Guns N' Roses on keyboards, we had Bruce Kulick on acoustic guitar. We had Mark Slaughter on second guitar and me on first guitar. And we were in a studio. Oh, no, television studios are quite small, so we're kind of tight together. And Slaughter is standing like right in front of me, no more than 2 feet away from me, maybe 18 inches or 2 feet, so close. And so I take the headphones off because I want to be in touch with the band. I can't play with in-ears, or I got to hear what's going on. So I take them off real quick and we still keep the song going. And when it gets to the bridge, am I in my cabin dreaming? He's singing the harmony to this, Paul, and it's like, oh my God, he's hitting it so clear and so precise. And after we got done, recording this thing and saying hi and bye, I look at him and I said, dude, I I didn't know you could sing like that. I thought, you were a screamer. I said, you're a screamer, but you are also very passionate about harmony. He says, yeah, man. He says, I'm going to send you something I want you to listen to. And so he sent me some music that he had recorded himself, some of the stuff that he had written. And it was big, man. I mean, the production on it was big. And so I called him to talk to him, to tell him, how much I enjoyed it and how much I loved it, especially certain songs. And he said, well, I want to offer you something. He said, I want to produce your next work. Whatever it is, I want to produce it. If you like this sound, you like the production, I can give you very similar. And I went, oh my God, that would be so cool. And, he's part native and I'm part native. And that part of us, uh, that we are kindred spirits. We have a kindred soul. And so when we work together, it's very easy to work with him. I trust him. That is the element above all other things. If you got trust, it's so easy, Paul.
Yeah.
It is so easy to work with. And he's so easy to love, man. He's real. He is a real dude. There's no bullshit, no fake shit. It's just real. And that's the way that the music comes out. And that's the way the album turned out. And it's because of our relationship. And I am so blessed to even know this guy.
Fascinating stuff. Thank you, Mark. Now let's talk about Jim Peterik as well, because he was involved in this record. So how did you get involved with Jim, and what was his role within this?
Well, I've been doing some of the world stage
Of
gigs
course,
with
yeah.
Jim Peterik, and he said to me one day, he says, I got this song. He says, and you would be great singing it. And I was down there working with him. I had recorded some other stuff that we had worked on. And it was just like one day he was started bringing up this song. He starts playing it on the keyboards. And then I said, oh, I like the progression. I like the chord progression. I like the feel of it. I said, can we do this in 4-3-2? That's my key now. That's my tuning standard. So we do it, and by the time I get down to Mark Slaughter's, I told Slaughter about it. I said, this other song that I did with Petrick, this might work on our album here. And I said, it's got a great message. And he says, can he send the tracks down, and I'll mix them, get this sound. And so I contacted them, and they obliged us by sending the tracks down. And I redid some of the vocal, and I played bass on the track because I have a more of a R&B feel, being from Flint, Michigan. Listening to CKLW, Rosalie Trombley, and listening to Motown and all the R&B stuff, and WAMM in Flint. I've got this feel, and I played tuba, sousaphone, in the fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, in the school band. So I got this bass feel, and I put the bass on, and it just turned out great. The way that and David Winans, uh, he was telling me, you know who David is? He was telling me he's a bass player from Detroit. The Winans family is all musical, wonderful singers and musically talented bunch. He commented on how the bass blended so good in there, and the message is to the audience who makes us who we are. The audience, the fans, have actually contributed to our careers, each one of us. And so it comes out in this song, in the message of the song, as well as the connection, strong connection to family and the love contained in both family and fans. It's all, friends forever. And so I'm very proud of the song. It is a bonus track on the CD. There was no room for it on the vinyl because, we're limited to space.
Yeah.
And being that I'm Your Captain is a 10-minute song, it kind of cuts up the space.
Absolutely. And in terms of songs, this is a question I like to ask people with new albums out. What's your favorite track on the record, and why?
Well, my favorite track is Same Game.
Okay.
Same Game is defining the takeover of mainstream, not only the news channels, but mainstream television. The mom and pop, the grandpas and grandmas that used to be involved in the ownership of the stations has long since expired. In 1996, here in the United States, Clinton deregulated the FCC. And I felt a shock wave when it happened because I realized what it was going to do, and it has done it. So this is in the face of those who think they're controlling us. The rock community, we are still free. We made ourselves free. We are free, and we are the captains of our own ships. And so Same Game is part of an expose of what has happened, and under no circumstances should we ever believe one word coming from mainstream.
Fascinating stuff, Mark. Thank you so much. And now, in terms of the record, Closer to My Home, it's your first new record since 2006, so 18 years. So it's the first new record since your brush with death as well. We have to mention that in 2012. Now, would you
Yes.
mind telling us about that and how that event has affected you and changed the way you live your life today?
Well, the brush with death was on October 23rd. I was in Detroit. We stayed at the Renaissance, my wife and I. We were down doing some PR, and my wife got up in the morning. She was, in the bathroom. She told me about it as, later. She said, I walked out of the bathroom. She said, your left arm shot up in the air and your left leg shot up in the air and you rolled out. I'm thinking, I don't remember any of this. I remember coming to, the paramedics are around me, and here they got this oxygen mask on my face and they're pouring the oxygen to me. They get me in the ambulance and I go over to Harper in Detroit. They had me on an external pacemaker. I think they had kind of summarized what they thought was wrong, and they were monitoring me. They had this big screen, and three doctors are standing in front of the screen, and all of a sudden I get hit with it. It felt like they plugged me into the wall, and I holler out, you know, it's like crazy pain, and my wife come over, what's the matter, Mark? And it's like they hit me again, and this pain was coming like from the middle of my back, and it just bent me backwards, and I was in this shaking fit. It was like seizure brought on by the electrical current, and she's yelling to the top of her lungs to these doctors, "Hey, you're killing him!" She says, "Stop!" And this doctor comes in from the hallway. "What's going on in here?" And it's like, um, you know, as he came in, they hit me so hard, it's like I died. Bam, I was gone. I left this bone suit, and I was on the other side. I was happy. I was set free. I was debt free. And that relief that I experienced, I can only tell you that it is a great experience. You can't kill energy. The energy that makes us who we are, our spirit, is eternal. And when it goes to the other side, oh my God, it was like going home. It was like a homecoming. It was like, you know, I'm back with mom and dad. It was so wonderful, the experience. And I knew all things. I knew everything. I even had the reason for the earth years, why we had to do time on earth. I knew that over there, but I couldn't bring it back with me. It's some of the information is meant for over there, and you can't hold on to it here. I don't know why, but I do know that it would probably smoke most people's brains. Poof, little cloud of smoke. But on my second reentry, I died twice. On my second reentry into my bone suit, I call it a bone suit, this thing, I was shown that debt consciousness, DEBT, that's the dirtiest, filthiest, most obscene word known to man. Debt consciousness is the plague of mankind. We are moved by that dirty little word. We are harnessed. We are bridled. We are brought under submission by that dirty little word. And those who control the debt are some evil, evil beings. Not just financial debt. That is part of it for sure. But the debt of unfulfilled expectations of other people upon us. You can let your mind go on that. And there's all forms of debt that somehow you can just write down to the four-letter word. And the regret that we have within ourselves, we hold ourselves responsible for things that we wish we wouldn't have done. We cringe. It's so bad. Oh man, why did I do that? Or, we were in a state of mind or state of being that we just regret. And that is weight. And it's all compressed. And every little instance, every little time that we get in that situation where we have to endure some more debt, we'll forget about it, after a while, but it's there, it's accumulating. So here's where it starts. And then the more debt, the more debt, the more debt, the more debt, it's just pushing us down, and it's weight weight. It's lead and it's pulling us down. And we are the only ones who can set ourselves free from it. It is the realization of what it is and its purpose. And I wish everybody could realize the purpose of debt. It's evil. It's evil. But love is the opposite of debt. And because you love yourself, you should love yourself enough to set yourself free and never compromise yourself again. And not that I am perfect, Brother Paul, but when I get up in the morning, when I wake up, I put on the full armor of God and I say, Lord, show me where the debt is. I'm open to it. I want to see where it is, because in our memory, we've had these things occur that put us in this debt consciousness. And when we realize what it is, where it is, and we instantly go, oh, thank you. It's like it's taken bolt cutters to that anchor that has been a chain holding us down. We set ourselves free. And especially with regret, personally, I can speak from this position. To set yourself free, you got to let yourself off the hook. That's the most difficult. It's easier to set other people free than it is sometimes to set ourselves free, but it needs to be done. And we are the only ones that can do it personally, brother.
Wow, so profound and so inspiring words as well. Thank you, Mark. That was incredible. In terms of the hospitalization, then, I mean, what was it in the end that caused your issues, and how long were you dead for? Do you know?
Uh, it was just a matter of just a few minutes. I mean, it wasn't enough to, you know, uh, I didn't go long enough to uh, see a light. Or I mean, I've heard stories of other people say, oh,
Hmm.
they saw the light. I didn't see any light. I didn't see any light. I just felt the love and the release, the relief that you get when all of that is gone. And that's why I still have just a little tangible memory of that experience of being debt free, and not because you got your bills paid, uh, because you got your life insurance paid. You know, Jesus set me free. That's that. And I am a cussing Christian. I mean, we are definitely, uh, myself and Mark Slaughter, we are the same with that regard. People have turned it into, it's kind of like a superstition. And you remember Stevie Wonder told us about superstition, brother.
He certainly did. He certainly did. In terms of playing live, because you're still doing that, you're still a working musician, as you said, and still out on the road, you've still got dates going. Do you still enjoy doing that as much as ever? Do you still enjoy being out in front of people and seeing their faces and things like that?
I do, Paul. I do, because it's what I am born to do. And I feel like my relationship with the audience is it's based on the love that they've experienced in my songs. They came to see that person, and I am who my songs say I am.
There you go. Just one last thing then, talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because obviously it's something that a lot of Grand Funk Railroad fans are still up in arms about. They're still disgusted about the fact that you guys have sort of not been inducted, not been nominated, and a little change obviously at the top of the organization, and a little waiver in for Foreigner who've finally been allowed in as well. Do you think there's any possibility moving forward that Grand Funk will finally get the recognition from the hall that they so thoroughly deserve?
Well, I don't know if that'll ever happen. The only reason it hasn't happened so far is we don't have the brown ring around our lips. And I'm sorry to say that the people don't have any say as to who is going in and why they're going in and when they're going in. The people who made those stars who they are It was us fans who bought the Beatles records. It was, it's the fans that fuel our popularity, and we don't have a thing to say about it. I think that's got to change. They need to allow the influence of reality and listen to what the fans are saying. And we all got phones. We could vote who we think ought to be in there. But it's political. It's kind of like the government of the United States versus the people. It's a bunch of horse crap as the government, fake government, is in there. Who knows what's going to happen next? And these three-letter agencies, bunch of panty waist, puny, yeah, to do to us, and to try to put fear into the people. I'm so fed up with that stuff. I want the people free. Set my people free. Uh, and this is, what's wrong with the Rock Hall. It's just like a bunch of, senators and the Congress people and those up there that wear the tie, and that is the uniform of the New World Order. It's that tie and the suit and the vest and all that shit.
So in terms of the rock wall itself, if hypothetically they did say you were getting in tomorrow, is it something you'd welcome, or after all this time and everything that's gone in the background, would you say no? Is it how would you feel about that?
Oh, I would love to be in there for the people's sake, only for the people's sake, not for those people who run that. And I know, just by what Steve Miller went through to when he was inducted in there, and the horseshit that they pulled on him, buddy. Oh my God. To charge the band $20,000 a plate. Are you kidding me? Oh my God. Uh, that's not nice. That's horsey poo poo.
It certainly is. And in terms of, again, all hypothetical, but if you were inducted and you were allowed in, do you think there would be something of a reunion for the original members of the band? Is it something you think could happen?
I would hope so. I would hope so. It hasn't been me uh preventing the band from getting back together. It's been the other guys, and that's just something that I think they're just off their path right now. They're off the path. Um, and like it's you say Foreigner got in, but the guys that are going out presenting themselves as Foreigner now, there's no original members. I don't know if I, to tell you the truth, um, I don't know if they got the real Foreigner back together, you know, to play at the Rock Hall or for the ceremony, but that would be great, to put the real people back together. Then then we got something to celebrate. Beside that, all you got is a tribute band.
Indeed. Well, Mark, it's been a pleasure chatting with you. As we said, your new album, Closer to My Home, is released on November the 8th. MarkFarner.com is the best place to go for that. You can pre-order it now, and the first 750 LP sleeves will be autographed by yourself as well, won't they?
That's right. And the CDs as well. All of the
Oh,
pre all the pre-sales are going to be autographed by yours truly.
that's an even better reason to get there and make sure you get it pre-ordered. As I said, markfarner.com. Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you again, and best of luck for the future, my friend.
And you, Paul. Thanks for having me.